This entitled mum does something awful to this poor teen on a bicycle, just trying to ride his way to school. What lame excuse does she give to try and justify her entitlement? Happy birthday, today's your birthday, and on with the revamped show. So I live in a pretty suburban area near a lagoon. It's pretty nice there, but super cold. I live about 2 miles away from my school, so I bike there, and it's usually in the 30s Fahrenheit. Freezing cold for California. Anyways, I have to cross a bunch of roads before the street turns, and I can just ride straight ahead to 8 hours of hell. So yesterday, I set off on my bike, wearing gloves, a jacket, and a wobbly basket on the back of my bicycle, carrying my backpack and lunchbox. I was fairly early, so I went a little slowly, not going super sane on the pedals like usual. There was a lot of traffic on the roads, so instead of going on the bike lane, I stuck to the sidewalk for fear of being run over by an idiot. I crossed around 3 sidewalks when I came to the end of the sidewalk, where it was cut in two so a neighborhood road could cross to the main one. There was a car coming towards me, a Prius, obviously, and I couldn't see through the windshield, so I didn't know if they could see me or not, so I crossed the road a little more carefully. Suddenly, this freaking loser slams on the accelerator and shoots toward me at 40% of the speed of light. I freaked out and yeeted my pedals, but the gear was high, so I didn't move as quickly as I expected, and Mrs. Prius hit the back of my bike. I didn't fall off because she grazed my basket, but my backpack and other stuff got flung into the middle of the road. Thankfully, the cars on the road were pretty far away, and they slowed down when they saw this woman smash into my bike. I look into the windshield, no longer blinded by the sunlight, and I see a woman in her 40s texting away on her darn Android, oblivious to what had just happened. I moved my bike to the start of the sidewalk, walked back to her car, and smashed my fist on the car dashboard as hard as I could to get her to look at me, infuriated. It works, and I make a sizable dent in the car as well. Win-win. She looks up, and her face just contorts into the most hideous look of anger I have ever laid my eyes upon. She slams the Android down and wrenches open the door, squeezing through it. As she gets out of the car, I can see she is a Karen from a mile away. In fact, a mile away is where I wanted to be from this conversation.
What the heck did you just do to my car, you piece of crap?
I was visibly ticked off. You just hit me with your car.
No, I didn't. You freaking kids are all the same.
Then why the heck is my stuff all over the road, idiot? I was really angry at this point. I don't like it when people mess with me, especially adults, because I have a history of being wrongly accused of dumb stuff by adults, and I've never had the courage to talk back.
What did you just call me? Where are your parents?
Yeah, where are they? I need help suing you. She now became less freaked out, more smug, because she thinks she's won the argument for some reason. I don't know how Karens work, don't ask me.
You're the one who caused damage to my car.
You hit me with your car because you were texting.
Well,
Like, what do you actually think you were doing, driving into the road while looking at your phone? The back door to her car opens, and I see her kid, who I know from school, getting out. I don't know her that well, but I know that she's nice, unlike her mum. What's going on? The entitled mum speaks before I can say anything.
This moron just stopped his bike in front of me, and then he damaged our car.
Wrong. Your mum was texting, and she hit my bike while I was trying to cross the sidewalk. The entitled mum turns to me with a gleam of outrage in her eyes, and she coils her hand to slap me, and then I hear someone shouting. I jump out of her reach and see a cop that got out of his car down the road yell at her. Hey! The entitled mum changes into the victim faster than you could say expectable plot twist when she sees him.
Oh, officer, thank goodness you're here. This child tried to destroy our car with his bike.
She points to the dent on her car the size of a block of cheese. No, I saw it. You hit him with your Prius, ma'am. He walks onto the road and picks up my stuff. Cars now start to move through the lanes, shooting dirty looks at me and the entitled mum. The entitled mum, having nothing left to do, reverts back to her original insanity and shoves her kid into the car. She jumps in as well and starts the engine. The cop is almost next to his police car, so he yells at me to stay where I was and he chases after the entitled mum. I didn't stay where I was, and I kept going on the path to school, taking a detour this time. The cop probably came back and saw I wasn't there. I saw an article in the newspaper the next day. I didn't tell anyone about the incident, but my face showed up in the cop's body cam, and they sent a request to me to come to the police station. I went
with my parents and we pressed charges against the entitled mum. I feel so sorry for her kid that she had to endure through all of this crap. We sued them for a ton of money and we only had to pay for the repair to the car. Now, there's nothing wrong with talking to someone on the phone. If it's on speaker, your eyes are on the road, it's like having a conversation with somebody that would be in the car, right? Doesn't make much difference. When you see some people who their eyes are no longer on the road because they're looking down, texting someone, it's one of the most stupid things you can do on the road. Even if you're doing everything right, you don't know what other drivers are gonna do, and things can change in a split second. I mean, our hero of the story knew this. That's why he didn't even want to ride in the bike lane, because he's like, yeah, I don't trust people enough on the road to actually ride even in the bike lane. It just takes one stupid distracted driver looking down for a split second, slightly swerving, and bam, that's it. The fact that this lady could have almost killed this guy and still wants to blame him, there's something messed up there. I used to work in a small chain of bookstores / stationery shops. We'd sell books, pens, paper, and so on. It was a quirky little store, straight over romantic love novella, or a Stephen King book if you prefer. This happened a few years ago, and I reconstruct it from my memory. While trying to be as accurate as possible, I can't guarantee it. We had a guy who visited us several times, never bought anything, and didn't request assistance. In short, my favorite type of customers. One day, I noticed how he puts one of our pencils into his jacket. Since I was busy with another customer, I only realized that he's gone when he's already gone. This may not matter for shops that don't sell pencils, but we do, and it annoyed me quite a lot, even if the pencil wasn't worth even $1. I had a talk with my boss. She recommended to let it slip. It's not worth the effort. Also, calling the police for $1, they will laugh at you and charge you something for their visit. A few days later, the same guy enters the store, just wants to look around. I keep a close eye on him. Guess what? He tries it again, this time with an eraser. When he tries to leave the store, I ask him with my best customer service voice, would you like to pay with that eraser with cash or card? Do you know that sweet feeling of victory when something works out exactly as planned? That was what I felt in that moment. That was until he replied with no and left. Now, my boss has a strict no ban policy. I wasn't even allowed to throw him out of the store. Calling the police was somewhat of an overkill and not allowed by my boss. To be honest, I just waited for the day when he would enter our store with a basket and just grab everything he'd like. The day passes. He keeps snatching a few almost worthless items here and there, but one day he enters the store with a paper in his hands. I almost expected him to have a groceries list of stuff he wanted to steal, but he comes to me, hands me the paper and tells me that he needs the books by tomorrow. Guess I was standing there a few seconds in complete surprise. Thank goodness I stopped him before he left. Sir, I can't order those for you. My apologies. You're a bookstore. Get them or you'll be in trouble. Since we have a bad record with you as a customer, we can't risk ordering stuff for you that you maybe don't buy in the end. We may also have to charge you for all the stuff you snatched in the past few weeks. I point to a few of the security cameras in our store that are rather used to monitor employees than customers. Well, how much do you want? This baffled me quite a bit, so I just said a number. I mean, getting something for stolen stuff is better than getting nothing, am I right? $100. That's way too much. I want a discount. What are we, r/choosing beggars? We don't offer discounts on stolen items. I don't care. Just get me the books by tomorrow or you'll be in big trouble. The guy storms off before I have the possibility to stop him. I obviously don't order the books. Don't even look at the list. Why should I care? At this point of my career as a bookseller, I already decided to switch my profession and workplace. I wasn't allowed to do anything because of my boss and management anyways. The next day, the guy enters the store early in the morning. Do you have my books? No, I told you that I need them today! And the guy storms off again. Later, the guy and an older man enter the store. Guy with a big smile. Everyone who worked in retail knows that complicated customers with a smile indicate trouble. My friend here needs those books. Do you really not want to give them to him? That's right, I didn't order them for him. Those books are crucial for his exams today. Why didn't you order them? Why didn't you tell him to get them somewhere else? I explained to him that we can't order them since he stole several items from our store, all being recorded on camera. The older man turns to the guy. Is that true? No, I don't remember doing anything like that. No worries, we've kept the footage. The older man thanks me and they both leave the store. That's the first time I look at the list. All books were related to law and crime prosecution. Quite high literature. I giggle a bit, thinking that he ran into troubles in other stores too. I was wrong. A few weeks pass. The older man enters our store again. Turns out that he was studying law in a university nearby and had 4 years to order and study the books, but decided that he only needed them on the days of the final exams. The older man told me that he already made trouble while entering the school. He was prosecuted with stuff. The older man never told me which stuff, and thus they almost didn't accept him into the school. A lawyer who already broke the law several times works out only in the movies. Him stealing in our store was the final straw. Their board decided to drop him out of the school, not letting him try the final exams, and the older man needed a few books for the school. He showed me his ID and I gave him a 5% discount just because he was so nice, and I knew that we could handle that discount. Eventually, he started to take all orders from his classes to our store, which made us a lot of revenue, and it's much easier to order one book for 20 than 20 different books for one. I still wonder if the guy was able to study law somewhere else. It seems really strange that a guy studying law would steal really small things, but this is a classic case of a kleptomaniac. It's an obsessive compulsive disorder where you can't stop yourself from stealing, and usually it's just little things like pencils or erasers. So probably the only thing more ironic than him studying law would be if he was studying psychology. This story happened to me last year when I was working as a GS agent at a water park. Selling tickets was my main duty. First of all, let me tell you the policy. Whether you swim or not, to enter our gate you must buy a ticket for you and your children. Seems reasonable to me. Second of all, we also have a discount for local people if you can prove that by showing your ID. We have a list of places that are considered to be local as well. One good summer afternoon, we were busy. There was this mum, the entitled mum, and her 3 kids walked into the park. I would say the kids are around 5 to 8-year-old something, and they were too excited for the entitled mum to hardly make them wait in line to buy tickets first. Entitled mum came to me to ask about the price, which I told her is $50 per person. Same price for adults and children. Kinda pricey, I know, but it's summer and the park is located in a tourist area. The entitled mum was kinda shocked and went, "What? That's too expensive! Don't you have a discount for local people?" "Oh, we do have that, ma'am. May I ask where you live?" "I live in blah blah city," which is not on the list, and the city is like 140 kilometers from us. "I'm sorry, ma'am, that is not considered as local according to our list." The entitled mum asked, increasing her tone at this point. "Well, where do you consider local?" "You have to be in this region." I showed her a map which I have for this very situation. I have had so many people arguing about this. "I am from that town." She pointed to a town on the map. I paused and was confused a little bit. "Okay," I said. Then she went on making up a story that she has 2 houses here and there in the city, and I knew she was lying. I continued to ask her, "Okay, in that case, may I have a look at your photo ID or something that has your home address on it to confirm you're local?" And she freaking flipped. "Why the heck do I have to show you my ID? I just told you I'm from that town." I explained. "It's our policy, ma'am." Then she was so mad at me and she asked to see my supervisor. I had 3 supervisors on that day, by the way. This is where the story gets interesting. Supervisor 1 greeted her and caught up with the situation and then explained to her the exact same thing that I just said for like 5 minutes straight. She refused to show ID, probably because she can't prove it. Then, unfortunately, if you can't prove that you're a local resident, we can't. Suddenly, the entitled mum yelled, interrupting my supervisor. "I am local and I want the discount." She said it so loud that everybody could hear her, but we kept telling her it is our policy, we must check the ID. The entitled mum was frustrated, so she demanded to see another supervisor. Supervisor 2 appeared. Supervisor 2 is 19 years old, by the way, the youngest. "Hi, ma'am." The entitled mother waved her hand and rudely told my supervisor 2, "No, I don't want to talk to you." Probably because the entitled mother saw how young she was. Supervisor 2 was like, "Okay," and awkwardly walked back inside. That was actually kind of funny. I tried to hide my laughter really hard. At this point, she realized her kids were not next to her anymore. They had run off to somewhere. She panicked, turning her head around to look for them. She demanded to see my general manager to help her. My GM is a tall African American, by the way, who is very kind. My general manager came to see her, calmed her down a little bit while she was standing near the glass door next to our gate to look for her children. The kids had already sneaked in early and they were playing near one of the kids' slides. Then she saw them as she was about to open the gate herself to get the kids. My general manager stopped her. "Excuse me, ma'am, you're not allowed to do that." And what she ranted on about next, I will remember forever.
"Look, I've had it with your bullcrap, especially you,"
pointing to the GM.
"I'm not gonna pay for tickets. My kids are already inside, okay? I am going in. I'm their mother. You get away from me. I warn you. Now get lost."
Then she stormed in. My general manager and all of us heard that, in awe of what just happened. My general manager walked back to the desk and said, "I think she forgot to take her medication or something. I don't know, but can someone call security, please?" I didn't witness what happened next, but I heard from my coworker that later, 2 police officers came to escort her out of the building, and she got banned to set foot in our water park for 5 years. Yes, this is technically an entitled parent, but it feels a lot more like an r/entitled locals, if that's a thing. Which I definitely feel is a thing, because you always hear people in restaurants and things like that, "I'm local, I'm here every day," as their excuse to get special service for some reason. The crazy thing is this lady wasn't even local. She lived ages away and yet somehow thought she could get the discounted price. Yeah, fair enough, the tickets were pretty expensive, but you've driven all that way to go there. Surely you would have checked the prices online. And if not, then that's your own fault. Just pay the price and have a nice day with your family. Nah, that's too simple for an entitled parent. When my cousin gave birth to her daughter, my parents and I weren't invited to the christening or the first birthday party. The excuse for not inviting us to the christening was that they didn't want a big event. This was fair enough, but we later found out that various friends were invited and that there was an after party in a local pub. My parents were hurt, as they showed my cousin nothing but love and encouragement when she was going through a difficult time, when her dad, my mum's brother and my uncle had died. However, they didn't argue and just drew a line under it. They then had the birthday party in secret, but I didn't tell my parents because I didn't want them feeling more hurt. I think that the reason is because we don't fit in with their friendship circle. My parents were from a working class background, but worked tooth and nail for good jobs and had a nice home, whereas my cousin and her friends have children so that they don't have to get a job. Basically, she thinks we're posh because we work hard. She's given me more than one indication of her inverted snobbery. My aunt, who is the widowed wife of my mother's brother, wasn't much better and didn't tell us about these things either. She excluded us and we'd only seen the child once, by accident, when she passed us in the park with a pram. Last December, I was in a really bad mood, for a reason I can't remember, and came home to see that my mum looked upset. I asked her what was wrong. She said while she was out, she met a friend who had just come from the hair salon. She told my mother that she was seated behind my cousin, who was tearing into us to the hairdresser, that her aunt and uncle, my parents, never bothered with getting her daughter christening, Christmas, or birthday presents. She didn't know my mum's friend, but she knew her. I was fuming when my mum relayed this to me. She actually thought she could exclude us from celebrations, deny us a relationship, lie to us about the reason, but still feel entitled enough to expect that we drop off a bag full of presents at every occasion. I went into a tirade on Facebook, tagging her and my aunt in and not sparing any details. I've now been blocked by her and my aunt. It probably wasn't the best way of handling it, and was a little petty, but I needed to put my fury somewhere. I felt so defensive of my parents, who were nothing but loving. The funniest thing is, the post was on her wall for 6 hours before she saw it and deleted it, so I'm sure plenty of people got a glimpse into her true nature. You gotta love a little bit of petty revenge when there's an entitled parent involved. If someone doesn't want particular people at their events, whatever, it's their event, they can run it however they like. You're not entitled to go to other people's events just because you're family or friends. But the first thing that was done wrong was they lied about it. They said they didn't want a big event, but it turns out they even had an after party at the local pub. It's a completely different thing, however, to still expect and feel entitled to presents when you didn't include them into the event itself. It's just like saying, yeah, I want your stuff, but I don't want you. Submit your story to be read on the channel at VoiceyHereStories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.